Hello and welcome to the Big Money Stylist podcast. It is episode number 36, and I got the rocking chair this week. Thanks a lot, assholes. Like, I'm not sure.
We planned that special for you.
Oh, man. Okay, anyways.
See, now it's going to squeak the entire time. You're going to feel fat.
You were so annoyed last week, and I was like, God, it's not that bad. Now I'm like, oh, yep, I can feel it.
Yep.
Anyways, welcome to episode number 36, and every time I introduce this show, now I want to call it Dirty 36 or Dirty 32. The 30s is like our dirty series.
Yeah. I think it only worked for literally one, which was Dirty 30.
I know, and it always pops in my head. So anyways, today the topic is
protection.
Who is that your favorite? I know it's Val's favorite.
Oh, yeah.
She's real aggressive like that.
It's my fave, guys. We all know it.
I prefer this one too, I think. I think it's like time to just like throw down a little bit, right?
Yeah. I just see myself as like the big soldier in the front that's like protecting all like the little guys. Not like that our students are the little guys, but you know, you need that one extra big one to like protect everyone.
The bodyguard.
Yeah.
I always say Ani's our bodyguard. She might be small, but she's mighty.
I'll fuck you up. Garrett likes to say, he's like, you're very disarming because you're just like little and people see you, they're like, oh, it's like a little girl. He's like, and then you start cutting their throat and they're like, oh God.
Didn't see that coming.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Danielle.
Yeah.
When you hear the word retention, what does that word mean to you?
Wait, are we on protection, but we're talking about retention? I was like,
Ding,
is
ding,
retention
ding.
one of our topics? That sounds
Negative.
fun.
Negative ghostwriter.
Retention. Well, in the hair world, I think of retention of like being able to retain your clientele, basically.
Okay, why is that so important?
I think there's like this whole game with social media that like for a while I think people were like churn and burn and like it doesn't matter to retain clients. Like I can just put posts out on social media and I don't care. And what happens is like that only works for a period of time till you have like 9 million bad Yelp reviews and people are like, oh, I don't really want to go visit that salon. I feel like it's just a churn and burn and I don't feel like it kind of creates that experience. And then you're kind of always in this hustle of like, I have to like just skyrocket your marketing, which isn't a problem, but at the same time, if you can't retain clients, I just think it kind of gives you a bad rap as a stylist.
Oh, for sure. So Val, talk about kind of the experience inside of a salon and providing like a good service and why that is so important with retaining clients.
Because I've seen it happen where people aren't like the best stylist ever, but because they give such a stellar service and experience for the client, then they'll keep coming back, even though their hair might not be the best ever. It can be like decent or good, but not like, oh, this is the best color I've ever had. But like if in general the whole experience was amazing, you kind of have like a loyal client for life.
Right.
And I think retention is important for the fact that if you're not retaining your clients, like you're doing something wrong, you know, and there's something wrong with either the experience you're delivering, your color skills, your cut, whatever. If they're not coming back, it's a you problem, and you got to look inwards and fix that.
I saw a quote today. I think it was on the Behind the Chair Instagram, and it was like a stylist posing a question saying like, I saw my client on somebody else's after photo, and I had just done their hair like 3 days before. And like, yeah, and I was like, oh, and I was like, she's like, this person didn't tell me, they didn't like it, like nothing. What should I do? And I'm just like, oh, that's rough. I'm like, what would you do? And I like, you always want to like flip things and think, okay, well, what was it, my experience? Was the color bad? Was it this? Because even though they might say, oh, like it could have just been a bad experience and bad communication, maybe not even a bad job. Do you know what I mean? So I think, I don't know. I saw that scrolling through and I was like, ooh, I don't know. And then I didn't have time to continue reading. But, you know.
Gee, you stopped reading, Danielle?
Well, you know.
I'm super surprised.
You know when it's like 9 million like comments and you're like, why am I getting sucked into this? I don't fucking care. I got a day to go about. So whatever. But
you're like, I have to show up on time or Ani will start without me.
I was like, all right, moving on. But
so. And then so inside of that, because it is obviously like providing a service that is quality, like you need to give them something good, but it always loops back like into an experience. So now I'm kind of stuck on this though. So Val, what would you do?
What?
If you were this person, you were a stylist and you did something for someone and then all of a sudden you were like, shit, that's my client 3 days later on someone else's with new color work.
That's my best friend.
If it's someone that I had like a long relationship with that I've been doing for a while, maybe I would say something, but it would depend on like the situation. Like you can't retain every client. You're not for everyone, you know?
For sure.
And I know a lot of times like we'll do a client and then you know like they're not coming back, you know? Right. And it wasn't like necessarily like a problem that happened, but just like, okay, we didn't vibe or like what they want for
Or
their
you-
hair color isn't something
you
that
might
I
get
want to take
stressed.
on. Yeah, something. So you can't do it, like you can't retain everyone. But if you have a bunch of people dropping off, that's when I think like you have a
Right.
problem with like what you're delivering. But if I had done someone one time and then I saw them on someone else's, I wouldn't be confrontational about it. Like I want everyone to be happy with their hair. So if I'm not the person for you, that's totally cool. But if it's someone that I've been doing for a long time and we've had a good relationship, I always try to keep the communication open, and we always say that when a client's leaving the salon. If you have any questions or concerns, anything's bugging you, like reach out to the salon phone, because I never want my ego to get in a place where like I'm not receptive to feedback from clients especially. I always want to know if you didn't like the color, if you didn't like the placement, if you didn't like how long the extensions were, like anything. I want there always to be open communication so that I could fix it and jig it so that you are happy and that I'm still like delivering something that you want, but something that I can stand behind that represents like my style and brand as well.
Okay, another question, because I've actually had this happen to me, but it was a long-term client that I felt like the relationship was kind of like in a place where I was like, I don't have to do your hair, like it's cool, whatever, you know. And you know who this person is.
I do.
And it wasn't like she was just a client. Like we hung out on the 4th of July. We did some blog shoots together.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Okay. Oh,
She's
I'm
been to your
like-
house.
like she's been to my house. Like her husband hung out with my husband. Like we were friends. It was more than just I would say the client relationship, because that's when it gets sticky. Like you said, like if it was somebody that you were just like done once and you're like whatever. But then there's this other level of like, is it a client and a friend, right?
Right.
So then it was like I see somebody on another popular Instagram page that I actually don't like at all, and we're currently in a lawsuit with. So I'm like, ooh, like that was such a dagger. And I responded to her. I said, I immediately texted her as a friend. I wanted to confront it. I didn't confront it as a stylist. I confronted it as a friend. And I said, hey, I saw you at this said salon, and you know, like we're not in cahoots with them, and like
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad and offended as a friend. Like that's literally how I worded it. And her comment back was like, well, you know, I'm a blogger. I just have to do this, and I don't know what's going on between you two, but it's you know, I'm a blogger, and it's just what and I was so offended. As a friend, I just was like, I can't continue this relationship with you. Like I can't. And I had felt it for the last year, kind of like she'd come in and she didn't seem happy, or I'd do her hair and I was like, it looks great, you know, like, and she never seemed happy. So it was kind of this place where I'm like, if you don't want to come to me, don't. Like, we can just be friends. So then it was like awkward because she went to somebody else, and the reason they made her really, really blonde, and I was just like, I'm not willing to do that. You know what I mean? So
Not
anyway,
willing to fry her hair off.
I'm not. Like, her hair is super coarse and curly, and it's like, I never took before and afters because I could tell she felt uncomfortable, and I just was like, I don't care. Like, but as a friend, I was like, you know what? I texted her immediately, and I just said, hey, as a client stylist relationship, I no longer wish to work with you, and I'll be canceling your next appointment. I wish you the best. And that's when I kind of I'm like, cool, if you want to treat me as we were not friends and that we were only a client stylist relationship, I'm going to respond in stylist mode.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I said to her, and I felt like I had to do that in order to protect just thinking about the topic of protection, like I had to do that to protect my own space, because I was like, that's, to me, I was, as a friend, I'm like, that's kind of fucked up, and as a business choice, like, I don't want to work on you anymore.
And
So-
protection-wise, like you always do stuff with what you feel is like integrity with the client's hair. So
Right.
like that's part of your brand, is we always want to keep
Right.
like the client's hair like in good integrity, as healthy as possible.
Right.
You know, you don't want to fry their hair off and put extensions in. So
Right. And I didn't look at it as something as like this other salon was fixing my work. It was just something that I was like,
you're
I don't
doing
want to
that.
put my name on that. No,
Yeah.
because I know long term that you're going to have 3 inches of hair, and I'm not cool with that.
Yep.
As a friend or a stylist. So I was like, no. So that's when I think it was like, oh, like it was kind of like a dagger, but I was like,
I had that with one of my clients, who I still do to this day, and I love her, but she came in with kind of orangey hair, and she's like, I want to be this white blonde. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna do that. And she's like, yes. She's like, that's what I want. I'm like, dude, I hear you. Get it. I'm seriously not doing that. Your
Yeah.
hair is already super compromised. If I put any more bleach on it, you are literally just gonna have your hair melted off.
Right.
So we went back and forth. She told me I was wrong. I told her I'm not doing it. We literally went back and forth for probably 6 months, so however many appointments that is, until finally her last 2 appointments now, I'm like, dude, you want to look at your hair and how good it is? She's like, I know, it's
Right?
growing and it feels good. I was like, so we're going to talk about it? She's like, I know, you were right. I'm like, okay, I don't have to say I told you so, but as long as we're both clear, like,
you're like, see, and this looks better.
And for me, it's just more so like I will not be the person to fry someone's hair off. Like I'm not going to do that. I don't want to put my name on that. I would rather refund you and not do your hair than do something that I know you're going to leave and I'm going to be sweating for the next 6 weeks praying to God like your hair didn't fall off.
Well, the funny thing that people don't know with hair, and even I learned in the past, I'd be like, oh, look, it didn't fry off. And then sure enough, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in, the heat and the styling, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I lost like 2 inches of my bangs, and my bangs were only 3 inches to begin with. And
it's not going great.
It's just not going great.
They're called baby bangs, don't worry.
Little fringe.
And something I think that a lot of artists don't realize, or even, it doesn't even matter, like if you don't do hair, just from a business standpoint, people don't realize that it's actually cheaper and easier to keep a client in your chair, to keep a customer coming back to your store, or whatever kind of business you have with clients and customers, which is literally everybody, or you don't have a business. It's actually cheaper to keep the current ones you have than try to continue to market and get brand new ones. That actually costs way more money.
Well, and you know what's interesting too is like we'll have clients who, you know, in the extension game, like hair can be hit or miss based on the education that the stylist gives to their client, or sometimes there's batches that are better than others. Like I'm just gonna like say that. But I always tell people, I'm like, you can't consistently have the client come in and saying, it's a bad batch, it's a bad batch, it's a bad batch. Like at that point, you have to look at yourself and be like, where am I? I need to educate the client better than this bitch is fucking crazy and she keeps coming in with a bad batch. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to like look at yourself and turn it and be like, okay, so let's problem solve and like, what are you doing? And I always, at my salon, like a policy that we have that I feel like works good is like, I'll give people like one mulligan or like one free pass. I'm like, you fuck up your extensions, I'll give you some hair, I'll hook you up. And then I'm going to like turn it and be like, hey, this is how you take care of it. These are the exact products you need. You know what I mean? And that to me is like better retention too. Because I think in our industry, you know, hair is expensive. A box of colors is $5, $6, $7 at the most. A bag of hair or a bag of for the hair on a client could be up to $400 to $600. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's such a high price point, and stylists will get in this place and they'll be like, I'm not giving her fucking new hair, and I'm like, you would be better off to give her new hair, to educate her better on how to take care of it, send her on her way. She's going to be ecstatic about it. Like, refer you a couple of her friends at no cost. Plus, you have a client for years to come. You're going to let that client leave over what? Like $400 over like a 2-year. If you added up what you'd make on her on a 2-year, like, so you kind of have to look at like retaining that client and giving them that experience. Otherwise, not only do you have a bad reputation, but you're not taking any fucking accountability for the work that you're delivering inside of your own space.
Totally.
And
I think a huge thing too is like if you haven't experienced like luxury in any point. So like if you're working at a salon and it's not like a higher end scale salon and you've never been to like a nice place. I know like for the longest time I had never been to any nice hotels. So I didn't know the difference between like a regular, not like a Motel 6, but just like a regular hotel
and then like
compared to like a montage where like every last detail is taken care of and they bring the kids robes and little slippers and fun stuffed animals that they pick out at check-in, and I'm like, oh, this is like the elite service that like people are paying for. It's not necessarily that the room's that much nicer, it's the service. And so I think that's what when I went other places and got like luxury service, it like clicked to me like that's what you have to deliver to your clients. It just is those teeny tiny things to say, here's some stuff that helps with like taking care of your extension. Here's some videos on how to do it. Here's how you style your hair. If you have any questions, like letting them know that the communication is open and like that you just want to make sure even after they leave your chair that you want their experience to be good, you know, and doing those little things gives them that luxury experience, that top of the line delivery, that's what retains them and keeps them coming back for that. They're amazing hair, yes, but just knowing like, God, from when the second I walked in the salon to like even after I walked out and left, that the service is still like amazing and going. I think that helps with your retention so much.
I will make a point in this really quick because I know that I feel like price, like there's some people where they have like a price threshold, right? And you can have somebody go to a montage and they're basing they don't even see the experience because they're so price overwhelmed by like the $1,200 room, and they miss the experience and they feel like the service they got or the room they got, they're like, this isn't worth it, this room's not nicer, this TV's not bigger, this, you know what I mean? And they miss like all those little things that are like experience oriented that make you feel like above and beyond, and it gives them an excuse to play small and be like, I'm not staying there again. But we're after, like, I feel like for me, like, I'm like, no, I want that experience. I want to notice all those things. But I don't know if you guys have experienced. I know, like, you've had a client recently who she was, like, mad about some extra hair, but it could have been, like, a price threshold for her,
so
you know?
So we'll just talk about it. This client came in and she had contacted me and sent me a text and was like, hey, I think I want a mini. And I was like, okay, yeah, if we do a mini, it's going to be 3 more pieces to put it in. It's going to be about $330, $340. I literally have it in a text message I sent to her.
Right.
And then 8 weeks later, literally 2 months later, guys, because she came in, myself and my assistant Morgan, like we put it in. She was fucking stoked, so happy to the point where she actually texted me a few days later. She's like, hey, it's my birthday this weekend. We're going out on a yacht. You should come to the party. It'll be so fun. Here's an invitation. Da-da-da. Like, clearly she was happy with her hair. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. She was fucking geeked, or she wouldn't have been like, please come on my fucking yacht for my birthday.
Right.
Cool. Didn't go because I'm antisocial, and that's fine. So later on, 8 weeks later, she contacts us. She texted me and was like, I want to cancel my next appointment. And I said, sure, what's up? And she never answered me back. She then called the salon and was like, hey, I want to know why it is that Ani charged me for 3 new pieces of hair. And I'm not even gonna lie, at the time I was like, shit, that was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what I had for breakfast 3 hours
She should
ago.
have been in to tighten them.
Well, she was. Her appointment was 2 days later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's why she canceled it. And so Lo, our receptionist, called me and was like, do you know what's going on? So I ended up actually talking to Morgan, my assistant, and she was like, oh, Ani, remember we put a mini in? And I was like, oh, shit, you're right. But at this point, Lo was like, you know what? We're not even dealing with this, because she was being, I'll be honest, a raging bitch about it. Like, there's no other way. She's like, this is unethical business practices. You charged me for hair that I didn't want, and you, like, charged me for hair and didn't tell me about it. And I'm like, I found the text this morning. I'm like, literally have text telling you, like, this is what it's going to cost for the 3 pieces and to put it in.
Weird.
So Lo handled it, not a big deal. And then she called and was like, I still want to know why Ani charged me for more hair and didn't tell me. He's like, did you get a mini? She's like, yeah. And he's like, that's the hair for the mini. And she just goes, oh. But it's like, no, like, look, you can't even pretend. And that's why I just even sound so monotone about it.
She did say, oh, like she acknowledged,
She was like,
oh, okay.
Oops, yep. But at that point, we were like done. It was handled, like, over it. Like, we were.
Was she on her period?
Not my fucking problem. And here's the deal. Is it a money
weird.
thing? No, it's not a money thing. I'm well aware of who she's dating, and like whatever
Maybe
money
they broke
that.
up.
And to me, at the end of the
She
day,
has
I'm
to-
like,
they broke up and the yacht party didn't happen and she's got to pay for her own hair and she's panicking and she's like, how am I going to get shit for free? I'll just call and complain.
Yeah.
But we called her bluff.
well, and that's why to me, I'm like, you can't even come to me and tell me, like, I've been at this game for 3 years now. Like, this is not, you're not my first client I've dealt with ever. You're not the first time crazy shit like this has happened. I see it in the network all the time. So no, you actually cannot come to me and tell me I didn't tell you that. A, because I know I did. I'm crystal, like, if anything, I, like, everyone in my life knows I'm crystal clear. I'm super direct. Like, I really don't sugarcoat a lot, because to me, like, facts are just facts. It just is what it is. On, you know, that just is. Yeah, if you want a mini, we can totally do that. It's going to be 3 new pieces of hair. This is what it's going to cost. This is what it costs to put it in. This is going to be the total. And she was even like, okay, great. Can I do Russian hair? And I was like, no, I don't like the Russian blonde hair. It, like, just, this is what happens with it. And she's like, oh, I trust you. Whatever you want. You're the professional. But then 8 weeks later, she's like, I have no idea why I got new hair. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. I have proof of what happened. So
As a business owner, I'm always like, what can we learn from this? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even know.
the only thing I learned was, you know what? I should have updated her profile so Lo didn't have to call me 15 times to ask me what was happening. That's the one thing I learned. Because on top of that, I was crystal clear. I told her through text message. It was strictly, like, it was literally written
Did you
out.
tell her the date of the appointment?
Yep. I remind everybody through text, like, not through text, but we had the conversation through text. Not a big deal. The day of, I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be. Here's what we're going to do. And she was like, whoop,
All right,
whoop.
we're chalking that one up till she's on her period.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm so crystal clear. Like, even with my client Amber, who's like, I want to be white blonde. I'm like, oh my God, I bet you do. But the answer is really no. Like, I'm not doing that. You know, like, I'm always crystal clear.
Okay, so
but
what can we learn out of this? What is there anything we can learn on that we? Because I'm always like, what could we implement with the client, or is this like chalking it up to be a crazy?
That I think at this point we now have to not have everybody sign, but maybe even have it written down and signed, like that you are agreeing and you understand you're getting this many pieces of hair. This is what it's going to cost. Da da da.
Sign here.
Well, and
It's like a waiver.
and that's something that takes 2 seconds.
I
We
feel
have
like when they sign the receipt, that's what they're fucking doing.
but they're not. Like, when I go places, I never look at receipts. I literally have.
But that's on you. You know what I mean? Like that with
For
the client.
sure.
Like, you signed it. You approved the charge. If you were upset or had questions on it, you should have
should've
asked
asked,
at that
yeah.
point.
But clearly
you know?
that doesn't work, because look what happened 8 weeks later. So I feel like the only way to
I
circumvent
got
that.
it. Here's what we're learning. Lo, this is what I'm going to communicate to Lo. I got it, guys. I got it. Then
Okay.
we can move on with this crazy lady. So I need to tell Lo, hey, if they purchase something new, like a mini, or if they have any new hair at all, like say they buy 4 pieces of hair, 3 pieces of hair, 2 pieces of hair, you need to tell them you're paying, as you're ringing them out before you swipe that card, you need to say you're paying an additional $400 in hair, and here is your normal service charge. I think
I've heard him say that.
Yeah,
Like,
oh my God,
I'm
at a loss then.
I know. I hear him say that because
I'm
I
at
walk
a
him up
loss.
and I'll tell him, I'm like, she's two-row tightening. She got 5 new pieces today, color, la la. And so he's like, okay, your charge is for this, and then you got 4 new pieces, so that's why your total is this today.
So moral of the story, you're always gonna have
every now and then
you're
a
gonna have
crazy
a
slips
crazy.
in.
You always got that one.
But and
true.
that's what I was saying earlier when I said you want to like have client retention, but sometimes like if it doesn't go with like your brand and what you're doing, like you got to let someone go because they're causing you more trouble. So as much as you want to like protect your brand and protect what you built and deliver an amazing service and experience, sometimes you just have to let them go. Like she just needs to go. Like there's.
Yep.
I have one more short story after this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, remember? Do you remember I had another client? Her name was Ennifer. And she was really nice. And actually, when she came in, I really liked her. We connected, like whatever. But I felt like the price point where we at was a lot for her. But she played the friend card well. And I was like, you're cool. You're such a fun girl. And anyways, but every time she would leave, she would say, can I don't have any money. Can I bring it back tomorrow?
What the? No.
I swear to God. And I was almost like, you don't have any money? And I don't know, because I'd be like, she'd be sitting in my chair and I would say, you need new pieces of hair. Something happened, like this shedded, like, I mean, I can fix it, but I think it would be best if you put new pieces of hair. And she would always be like, I trust you. Like, yeah, that sounds great. You know, real clear with her. So she knew, like, and more hair equals more dollars. And then every time I think she'd be like, well, I only have 200, but I know it's 700. So I'll come back with the rest. And then I would have to, like.
It was already done. Like,
it was
Oh,
done.
yeah,
And
I'm hearing this.
And I would have to call her and be like, I got to go for the day. Are you bringing me money? Because I was like, no, you cannot bring it tomorrow or next week. There's an ATM down the street. Go get it.
I'll say, okay, Danielle, what are we learning from this?
This is what I'm saying. So she did this to me for a solid year.
You allowed that for a year?
I know. I was such an asshole. Such an asshole. So finally, one day, she would cancel on me last minute too.
Always.
And I didn't have a cancellation policy. And I learned so much from this client. That's when I introduced my cancellation policy. That's when I introduced no checks, because she'd write me checks and they'd bounce, or she'd bring me a check a week later. Like, I learned so much from this client, but I think I allowed it because I was like, she's playing that friend card well. I think she's a cool girl. I'd go have a drink with her, like whatever. Yeah. But she was really hard on her hair too. So I was like, I'm sorry, your hair's fucked up. Every time you almost need new hair, you know? And so I just got to this place, like, I flat out called her. She wanted to cancel on me, and I knew it was because she didn't have the money to pay me, and her appointment was 2 days later. And I said, I no longer wish to work on you as a client. Like, I love you. It is what it is. Like, and she's like, oh, no, I promise I won't. And I said, I cannot. You've done this to me for a solid year. And she tried to backtrack, and I was like, no, you've done this. And I just had a really direct conversation with her. Anyway, I learned a ton from it. And she even texted me later and was like, hey, I think it's like so unfair. Can you please put me back on your books? And I said, absolutely not. So I learned a lot from her, but and
then the harassing to Stacy and I came.
Yeah, and then she was like asking, and I was like, you guys do not let her in. And then I think that's when I got a text saying, but I think it's unfair. Can I get in? And I was like, no, I gave you like a solid year, and that's my bad. Shame on me. You know what I mean? But I learned a lot from her, and I realized, like, once you get that far fucked up in a relationship, you can't like redo it. It's like being in a bad marriage and then like for a year, and then it'll take like 2 years to rebuild it. You know what I mean? It's not like she can just come back in and like roses and flowers happen. So anyways, good talk.
No, yeah. One of our artists just went through something like that too, and it got to the point where the client even sent her flowers. It was really funny, but that's another story. No, so, not she still didn't make it back in. It's a
protect your time, and even if you're friends with somebody, you have to be like super direct, straightforward, and you have to be able to do like friend role and business role, and you have to. I know as a hairstylist, that's one thing that I think that's why we're so protective over artists, because artists, like, they genuinely care so much for their clients. We love the art. We're not necessarily like detailed or business oriented, or we are, but we're not. You know what I mean? We're
getting there.
We're getting there. But that's what I'm saying is I think we're so protective because we get so close with our clients, and we're always the last to suffer. Do you know what I mean? We're always like the ones to just be like, it's fine. I'll take kind of the abuse. And so even in our like BMS program, we're trying to put accountability on the stylist. Like, hey, like, I get it. You're beautiful. You're amazing. your life sucks because you allowed it to suck. You know what I mean? And we're literally trying to like retrain the mind of a hairstylist. And I feel like a lot of even like small business owners like benefit off listening to this podcast. They're like, holy shit, because small business owners are the ones that are like just like allowing all this shit to creep into their lives, you know?
Well, and then even going into businesses itself, because retention with clients and customers is one thing, but then you also have retention inside of your business itself with like staff and employees. So, Val, we've recently not had a situation, but an interesting thing with obviously first it was Jill, your like homegirl, like your number one ride or die. And now you're actually hiring on a different assistant, Michaela, not because Jill's gone, guys. Jill's still here. She's just risen so much that shit, she can't really be an assistant anymore. So,
well, she is still until December. So
sorry, Jill.
She's not leaving a day early.
Do you know what's so funny? She was making jokes at Morgan the other day. She's like, yeah, Morgan, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't even know what she said, but Mo was like, what the fuck? And Jill was like, I had to endure suffering at jokes of me being an assistant. Now you get it too. I'm like, listen here, half-ass Jill, you calm down. She's like, I am no longer Hatch. I'm like, ah! she was really aggressive with that one. So, okay, but talk about the situation that's been happening now that first started with Jill and now Michaela, and what you're seeing, this kind of, not a trend that's now occurred, but employees and losing assistants.
What do you mean in the trend?
Well, you're at 2 now. You're bringing Michaela on. It's a fucking trend at this point.
So far, my trend is stealing other people's assistants.
Wait, have you decided on somebody?
Yeah.
Who is it?
You weren't there when she was there.
Oh, she's is like so cute.
The second she walked in, I knew.
Oh, because I really liked Christine yesterday too. And everybody who comes in, I'm like, who's it gonna be?
Yeah, I liked, but I'll tell you later. Okay. But yeah, you didn't meet her, but you'll love her.
Okay.
She has really good energy.
So
She's
cool.
super calm. I like her a lot.
Okay, but concentrate. Okay. So Michaela and Jill.
What about him?
Okay. Fucking shit. Wow. You like, Jesus, I asked one question 30 seconds ago. Okay. There's now been a trend. First Jill, now Michaela. Mackenzie experienced something similar with someone that trialed with her. What is like the trend that we're seeing now with assistants that are kind of coming into DKW?
Oh, that they want to be a stylist right away?
That or the fact that they actually belonged to a different artist and that was actually inside of our program.
Oh, okay. Now I get what you're saying.
I'm like, we have discussed this.
I'm kind of lost.
I'm like, we've discussed this 10 times, Coach Val.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the trend is kind of like, it's not stealing other people because Michaela works for someone else in Mastermind.
Okay.
And Jill, my assistant currently, she worked for someone else in Mastermind. But
you're a thief.
Not a thief. I pay more and I offer more.
But talk about that
you
because
just have to you can't get to the point. I feel like
you can't think your assistant's yours. Like
yeah. And like I value an assistant coming on because it's so beneficial to me. So like I have to like pay them well. I have to like offer them a lot too. So it's a good gig for them as well as for me. You know, they're helping me out, but I want it to make it worth their while. So you have to know, like, if it's not working for you, you don't own the person. So you can't. And with Kenzie's situation, the stylist she was coming from was really upset. And it's kind of like a thing like, well, you have to ask yourself, why would your assistant want to leave you and go somewhere else? What are they offering that you're not? You know? The 2 people that I'm stealing the assistants from, neither were mad at me. So it was cool. There was like that open communication. But you need to know, like, with protection-wise, like, you have to offer, like, I never wanted Jill to, like, leave me. So she got raises along the way. Mm-hmm. She got, like, more offered. You want me to decorate your apartment? Cool. Like, here's some furniture. I'll come over. You know, just, like, you have to, like, offer stuff to, like, make it worth people's while, you know?
Absolutely. And with staff, like, because it's not just, like, how much you pay them. It's how you treat them. It's how you talk to them. Yes, it is what you pay them, but also what you're offering, because along the way, and I've done this with Morgan, and Morgan, you're never leaving me. So I know you can't own a human, but you're still not leaving. But even inside of that, like, it's not just, like I said, it's not just how you talk to them. It's not just how you, like, treat them or how you pay them. Like, it's all of that, but it's also the visions along the way. Yes, we always say, like, paint a vision, like, paint them something great, something that makes them want to stay and continue working, but you also have to deliver on that. Yeah. Like, if you're painting visions and then all of a sudden the fucking rainbow goes away and there's no pot at the end of the tunnel or the rainbow, like, it's a problem.
But you have to be super clear when hiring an assistant. Like, I know when I hired Ian, I said, hey, you're assisting me for a year, no matter what. I'm like, we might put you on the floor sooner. I'm like, I'm not going to give you, like, a certain time when I'm going to put you on the floor. Like, when I feel like you're ready, I'm going to throw you a few clients. I'm going to give you a model to test, and we're gonna go with that. And so even, like, because Ian's on the floor now, and he's getting all excited, and same thing. I'm like, no, asshole, no. You're assisting me for a year, and he's like, no, I know, because I feel like there's still a lot more that he can learn. You know what I mean?
And you do have to be crystal clear, because honestly, what happened? You told him it might be 3 months before you take clients, and it might be a year and a half. And he heard. What did he hear?
3 months.
3 months. I'm on the floor, and I'm like, that's not what I heard her say.
Yeah.
You know. So you have to be so crystal clear in your vision.
Even at the 3 month mark, he was like, it's been 3 months. Like, so what do you think? And I was like, all right, do a model. And he did a model, and he did pretty good. And I had him do my hair. So I was like, all right, we'll slowly give you a few more, you know? And then, like, I've been impressed with his work. I've been like, it looks solid. Good job. But still, even that, I was like, I put frames or timelines on that. I told Lo, I was like, he only gets 1 client per day. Because extensions for us takes like 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. But it's somebody new on the floor. I'm like, don't stack them with 2 or 3 clients. You know what I mean? They can't do it. Time-wise, they're going to get stressed. I'm like, so now I gave him the green light. Like, you can give him clients, but only 1 per day. So even with assistants, you always have to be like, we always say at our salon, like, we want to touch base. So like 3 months, see where you're at.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, all right, let's reevaluate and kind of go from there. But too, like, it's interesting how you said, like, the one stylist was kind of upset. We do get in that frame with our assistants where we think like, I trained you, you're mine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we get in this like entitled energy, and then it's like, but that person can't fly and become like who they need to be if you're always like pulling them back. You know what I mean?
And I feel that way with Jill. Like, we are in such a groove. We're able to do clients like so fast. And selfishly, I want to keep her forever because she makes my life so much easier. She makes my salon days, like, I don't even have to tell her. She, like, reads my mind at this point, and, like, we just have this flow. Even when we're blow drying, no matter what, we're just, like, shifting and moving, and it's, like, seamless. And to go back again and, like, start from square one, training someone sounds exhausting. But, like, I can't do that to Jill. She's worked really hard, and that would be so effed up on my end to, like, prevent her from, like, spreading her wings and flying and reaching, like, her full potential.
But what's smart is to have 2 at a time. Like, even with BMS, like, if I think her Mo was like transferring more like to doing hair, it'd be smart to have somebody come in and Mo, you guys all 3 work together. That's how I do it, like assisting. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm doing with the new one.
Because like I loved Stacey. I was literally like, you're not leaving me. And I had her help train Ian for a good like couple months. You know what I mean? So, and even I brought like Katie, and it's nice to have 2 assistants, and then the one can train the other one. So it's not just like they're on the floor and then a new assistant and you're like, shit, I gotta like take all this time to retrain you if you work. And it's like you'll pay a little bit more because you have 2 assistants, but it's so worth it because your work gets done quicker, and then you don't have to go through that weird training process. Like, you can't wait till that assistant is like, I need to go, because then you might get into conflict and they might leave. And just like you're getting a new assistant and be like, I'm done. I've served my time here and I'm not going anywhere. You know? So anyway.
And I think it does go to, obviously, with assistants because that's who we're constantly hiring on, but it's also employees as well, because we've seen this inside of Mastermind. Like, when you're hiring on to be inside of a salon, like, once again, yes, it's like energy. It's what's being provided. It's the vision that comes across. But I feel like there also needs to be a trust that goes back and forth as well. Like, that's one thing I've always told Morgan. I'm like, because I've been clear with her since the beginning. I'm like, I don't really know what your full role is going to be, but how you show up is what's going to happen. And as she starts to do more and more and more, I'm like, shit, you can handle so much. Like, you're so good. So now I am putting more on her plate, but I know she now knows with me, any vision I tell her, like, hey, here's where we're going. This is what we're going to do. She 100% believes me and trusts me. Because every single thing I've told her, I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what we're going to do. Here's where we're going. Even though she's only been with me like 3 months now, I still keep her. Oh, yeah, she's super like me. She's very much like me, which I think is so great. Thanks, Mo. But even inside of that, she knows now any vision I paint, it's always going to come true. Like, I'm never going to stop. Like, I'm going to keep providing for her, and her opportunity just keeps going up. And that's something I think people need to realize. If you feel like you're having a problem inside of your salon keeping stylists or keeping assistants or doing anything like that, you really need to look inward. Like, what is it that you're providing them? Have you told them they're going to get like these crazy great opportunities and you're never delivering to them? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's sticky.
I see in our industry, you know, you'll have a salon that's super popular and they might even look at it as like, you're replaceable.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm like, God, then that like fucking sucks. Then you're like screwed and you have to like rehire on everybody and then start over. Like, yeah, they could be replaceable, but that kind of sucks. You know what I mean?
I mean, if it's cheaper and easier to keep a current client, would it not be also cheaper and easier to keep an assistant or staff or employees and find some mutual ground where like everybody's winning? Do you know what I mean? Right. So that's, I think, something fucked up. Like the replaceable mentality, I get it to an extent, but then I'm like, damn, it's kind of like fucking cold. Yeah. Okay, so we're wrapping up. I'm so sad. Okay, so Danielle, final words on protection inside of retention with not only clients, but assistants and staff.
I think that we kind of summed it up. I think it's like, yeah, you want to protect both like your retention. I just feel like, and we've taught this in some of our classes, I'm like, you guys, you can't go in with like the churn and burn mentality. Like you're not here to learn another Instagram hack. Like, no, fucking do good work and treat your clients well. So like, same goes to your employees or anything like that. Have clear communication and treat people how you want to be treated.
Coach Val.
I love it.
Protection.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're working so hard to build what you've got, so you got to keep going with it. So try and keep your employees happy. Try and do good work so that you can have like the good clientele. Not everyone's going to be a perfect fit, and sometimes protecting is like letting those people go who aren't a perfect fit, whether it is a client, a stylist, an assistant, whatever. But when it is something, you got to look inward, like Danielle was saying. You got to make sure that if you're losing a bunch of stuff, like more often than not, it's a you problem, and you got to fix that so that you can start retaining, whether it's clients or employees and all of that.
I'll say one more quick thing. I know we're wrapping up, but this, because I am the type of person that I used to always be like, well, that person's a dick or whatever, like whatever, it's on them, and I was very bad at accountability, and now I try to with anything I do or like anything I'm experiencing, I always try to like step outside of my emotions a little bit and logically go, okay, Danielle, why are you the asshole in the situation and what can you learn?
Yeah.
Like put a mirror up and be like, okay. And if you come to this place where like with Crazy Lady and you're like, I honestly feel like I went above and beyond like this, and then at least you're like at peace of mind. You're like, okay, it is what it is. But oftentimes, even if you think somebody is like doing you wrong, it's like flip it and you realize you understand why that's happening.
Yeah.
So I try to always go into a situation of like, what can I learn from this? And like just go into it always taking that accountability. And you'd be surprised how much it like opened your eyes to things and be like, oh, okay, here, it is what it is, you know? So.
Well, you know what they say. If you meet an asshole one time a day, you met an asshole. If you meet an asshole every day, you're the asshole. So take a look. Are you meeting a-holes every day? Yeah. Are you meeting a-holes every day? Might want to look inward, guys, because it might be you. So on that note, thank you for joining us again for Protection, episode number 36 of the Big Money Stylist podcast. And you can actually see us, not live, but video recorded on BigMoneyStylistNow.com. And stay tuned for next week, a topic I'm actually very excited about, which is power. So we'll see you guys then.